Hello friends, I'm so happy that you've decided to join me for another yoga practice today. Our practice is going to be for yoga for better sleep. So this practice will be a bit slow moving. If you're used to a fast pace in yoga sequences, then just try to approach today's sequence with an open mind. Allow yourself to be still. And even something in the yoga world that we tend to play off of quite frequently is that we need to come to our practice every single morning and it has to look a specific way. And that's not necessarily true. We don't have to always be flowing super quickly and working up a sweat. Anytime that you are just standing in a pose or sitting in a pose for that matter, you are getting the benefits from it. You don't have to force yourself to do anything, to push through an hour and a half long vinyasa sequence. You can just come to some very simple and fundamental poses and feel the benefits within. It just might take a little bit of extra focus because sometimes sitting in a pose might be more difficult than flowing because you tend to have circulating thoughts a bit more in a pose where we are totally still. So just try to, as we move through the practice, focus your mind. Allow yourself to feel each and every sensation that comes up with every single breath. There's nothing that you're trying to attain here. We're just working towards a deep sense of relaxation in order to prepare the body for rest. So we'll go ahead and begin. We're going to start out reclined here. And trying to think if you'll need any pillows or anything. I think that you'll be okay. So we'll go ahead and just begin in a reclined position. And so you'll bring your back slowly all the way down to the mat. Maybe you hug the knees into the chest just for a moment. And find that first breath in where you feel the belly rise up, maybe pressing into the thighs if you've chosen Appanasana or knees to chest. Notice how that first breath comes in and how it leaves the body. What sensations it creates. And that's the awareness that we'll be tapping into throughout the practice, is what moves with the breath without us moving our limbs, moving into different positions. Can we stay still and notice what the breath is creating? What the breath is not just moving, but transforming and purifying. So many aspects coming in as we just take in new oxygen with awareness, new fresh life. And if you haven't started to already, maybe you gently rock from side to side, moving slowly with awareness. We're not flinging ourselves in any way, but just as if we're moving through water, feeling our limbs just slowly pressing through the air. And then as you find your next exhalation, you can go ahead and release the soles of the feet back down to the mat. Go ahead and take the feet to the outer edges. Slide the heels slightly back so that when your arms are laying at the side body, your fingertips may come to touch the heels or come close to. And then allow the knees to fall in towards one another. Notice the change that this brings to the low back. And relax your shoulders if you notice that you're hugging them around the chest. Try to get them to lay totally flat on the mat. And find 5 rounds of silent breath here, feeling into the belly and that space behind the navel. Noticing what the breath moves. Relaxing any tension away from the face. And as you come to the end of your last exhale, Go ahead and slowly just walk the feet back into about hip width distance apart. And then go ahead and take your arms out in a T position beside you. Elbows bent at a 90-degree angle. Shoulder blades still laying flat. No tension in the low back or the pelvis. And then we'll just take a few pelvic tilts. So go ahead and ground your low back down to the mat by slightly lifting your pelvis towards your chest. So it's a very tiny motion. You can just see that all I've done is tucked my navel in towards my spine and brought my pelvis slightly up as if I'm about to lift my hips off the ground, but we're not quite there yet. So just go ahead and remain grounded here. Find a deep breath. And then as you exhale, tilt the pelvis the opposite direction, pointing the navel up towards the sky gently and noticing how as you just tilt the pelvis, it tugs on the head, moving that whole spinal column. And then continue to move with the breath, inhaling here, and then exhaling to press into the soles of the feet. Gently tilt the pelvis towards you, towards the face. Inhale, bring the low back down, arch the back slightly, press the sacrum into the mat. And then as you exhale, pelvic tilt to the opposite direction. Just 2 more rounds here. Notice the spine moving very subtly as you just rock pelvis forward and back. Notice what happens in the shoulders. And then when you're ready, come on back to a neutral reclined position. You can take the arms back along the side body and then rest your left palm facing down, pressing into the earth. Go ahead and extend your right leg out long. And if it's not totally straight, that's okay. You can have a little bend in the knee or whatever is most comfortable for you. Find a deep breath in. And exhale out of the mouth, let it go. Relax the shoulders. Now take the toes down towards the face and stretch your heel up towards the ceiling. Then take the foot and flex it, rounding the toes, making a little fist with the toes. Inhale, open toes out wide, spreading them wide, peeling heel towards the ceiling. And then exhale, make a little fist with the toes. Inhale, open them up wide, stretch the heel up, and exhale, fist. Continue for a few more rounds here, just with that process, using the breath. We have tons of acupressure points in our foot and that correlate with certain organs, actually all of the organs. And as we open the toes and create a fist, we're just awakening the foot muscles and awakening all of those meridians and lines that lead up into the organs. Maybe you take a few rolls to finish out the cycle of the ankle, circling, and then circling the other direction. Noticing what comes up, what feelings you even have on the side of the leg or maybe into the quad. Then you'll go ahead and bend the knee in towards the chest, interlace the fingers and hug that knee in. If you're not feeling any sensations here, it just feels kind of like you're just here and there's nothing really to explore, go ahead and extend your left leg out long, just sliding the heel down the mat and pointing the toes up towards the ceiling. Find a deep breath in, feel the belly press into that right upper thigh. And then as you exhale, allow your right knee to hug in towards the chest. Maybe it even comes along the right side body just a bit. And just being gentle for a moment, go ahead and explore some hip circles here. First, holding the knee. Bringing that right knee across the body and then out towards the right outer edge of the mat. Noticing what sensations are arriving. Follow the breath, inhale, 1 half circle, Exhale the other half circle. Moving slowly with intention as if moving through water. And then maybe at one point you allow the hands to fall away and you explore a little bit of a wider movement, maybe even opening the leg out to be a little bit straighter, and just allowing the circles to continue, using your body weight to continue that stretch, or that slide and glide of the muscles and the ligaments. And as you come to your next exhalation, go ahead and hug your knee in towards your chest just one more time. See if you can reach onto a part of your right leg as you straighten the right leg. Maybe you are so close that you can even grab your big toe with your first right fingers. Or maybe you're just holding on to the calf. Find a deep breath in. And as you exhale, allow that right leg to come in towards the chest, maybe bending the knee if necessary, if you notice too much tug on the back of the knee in the hamstring. And then just allow yourself to sit with the breath. 3 rounds. No thoughts coming in. And if they do happen to pop in, just gently redirect them out of the mind. Of course, not all thoughts require attending or require attendance, I guess would be the better way of saying that. So as you find your next exhale, maybe you're feeling really flexy and you can allow your right leg mostly straight to come out towards the right outer edge of the mat. I would only recommend that if you're holding your big toe. However, if you're not and you've got that right leg a little bit bent, go ahead and hug the knee back into the chest using right hand around the kneecap, and then allow that right leg to come over towards the outer edge of the mat. Pause here for 3 rounds of breath. Relax the shoulders. Relax the breath. And as you find your next exhale, you can bring that right sole of the foot back down to the mat and go ahead and bring the left sole of the foot back if you had that left leg extended. Of course, you could have kept this left knee bent that entire sequence, whatever worked best for you. We'll go ahead and take all of those on the other side, but just for a moment, find that constructive rest position that we were in before, taking feet to the outer edge of the mat and walking the heels back towards your fingertips along the side body. Allow the knees to just fall in towards one another. And notice if one side of your body feels specifically a little different than the other. If that right side feels maybe a little bit more open in the hip socket, maybe in the hamstring. Then you can go ahead and slide the feet back towards center. Deep breath in. And exhale. Let it go. Relax any tension away. Go ahead and hug your left knee into the chest. Once again, if you're not feeling any sensation coming into the hips, maybe you send the right leg out long. Find a deep breath. Belly comes up to press into left thigh. Maybe, or maybe not, depending on your body. And as you exhale, you allow yourself to hug that left knee in just a little bit tighter. Maybe it even comes over to the left side body slightly. And then as you find your next inhalation, straighten the left leg, release the hold on the kneecap. Spread the toes out wide, deep breath in. And exhale. Ball the toes into a fist. Inhale, deep breath. Spread them out wide. Exhale, fist. Inhale, spread them wide. Heel peels towards the ceiling. And exhale, find the fist. One more time, inhale. And exhale. You can release that left knee to hug back in towards the chest and begin to connect with those circles that we were in before. Just dropping left knee over to the left side of the mat and then bringing it across the body, using the hands to guide you and the breath. Inhale to create a half circle, exhale to finish the circle. Body's moving through water. We're not trying to finish something quickly here, but rather tap into the sensation that arises in every incremental moment. Go ahead and take those circles in the opposite direction, and if you'd like, you can release the hands away if you'd like to move a bit more freely, allowing just the weight of your body to guide the circles. Maybe working on straightening the leg out, noticing how it feels to stretch it long. Noticing the sensations maybe slightly coming into your left outer hip as you bring that left leg across the midline of the body, all the way over to the right side. Arrive back at center, hug left knee into the chest as you are ready. Pause for a moment with the breath. And then maybe you take left leg out long. Or maybe there's a tiny micro bend in the knee. Go ahead and reach for what you can. Just make sure you're not reaching for this spot that's behind the kneecap. Maybe your hands interlace behind the left thigh, maybe left calf, or maybe peace fingers of the left hand comes to reach for left big toe. Even that for me is definitely a stretch. I still have, you can't really see because of my pants, but I still have a little micro bend even in my knee here to prevent from locking my knee in place and doing some damage. But it's all about your own body, the stacking of your bones and their shape, which is different for everybody. So maybe you're up here, or maybe knee is bent, and you find a deep breath in. Exhale, allow that left leg to come in towards the chest just a bit more. Deep breath in, one more. Exhale, let it go. Relax tension away from every other part of the body. Last breath in. And as you exhale, go ahead and take your, I hit the door, left leg on over to your left side of the mat. Maybe the knee is bent, but hip is open. So if you started here with just left knee hugging in, go ahead and just drop that left knee open. Maybe your right hip wants to come up and you just take your right hand to rest it down to bring some awareness to that space. 3 rounds of breath. Feel the fullness coming in. Notice how you feel. And don't judge yourself for whatever comes up, good, bad, angry, frustrated. Accept it all. No judgment, just existence. And go ahead and guide your left knee back in towards center slowly. And for just a moment, we'll come into reclined bound angle, Supta Baddha Konasana in Sanskrit, bringing soles of the feet to touch, and then dropping the knees slightly open. Now we don't want to slide our heels all the way up to our groin because that's going to restrict our ability to drop knees to the outer edge. So keep it nice and loose. Notice that immediate stretch coming in, or slide and glide, I shouldn't say stretch, slide and glide of the muscles coming into the inner groin. Relax your shoulders down to the mat. Find 2 rounds of breath here. Gently allowing that opening to come in. As long as you're not feeling any burning or disturbing, tingling sensations, you can remain here. There may be tension, there may be tug, but it's okay to breathe through tension and tug. Allow the front part of your body to open. Maybe the arms open up at sides. And you notice the fullness of your breath, possibly, or possibly not, wherever you are. And as you become ready, slowly, using the hands maybe to help you, guide the knees back up towards center. Hug your knees into the chest just one more time for Apanasana. Maybe rock from side to side. Notice how things might have changed from the first time that we entered this pose at the beginning of our practice. And then as you become ready, we'll go ahead and take an interesting transition up to seated, but it's very slow and meditative transition instead of pushing yourself all the way up. So what we're going to do is go ahead and take your hands and slide them underneath the glutes. Your thumbs sort of resting, pointing towards each other near the sacrum, getting that little lift. Then you'll just go ahead and extend your legs out long. Lay the shoulder blades flat. Take your gaze down towards your feet. Hug the knees into the chest. Make the legs straight. And then lower them slowly. Allow yourself to engage the abdominal wall to lift all the way up to seated. And then you'll remain here, pausing in Dandasana, staff pose, for just about 3 rounds of breath. Noticing the tallness of the spine here, the shoulders dropping back, slight activation of the core. And when you become ready, we'll come into seated bound angle, just a little bit of a different way than what we were just in reclined on the floor. So bring your soles of the feet to touch once more. And take your hands around the ankles, then take your elbows and bring them at your shins or kind of at your knees, just in that calf space. And then you'll just slowly tuck the chin, allow yourself to fold forward. If you're already feeling some negative sensations like burning or tingling in the groin, in the inner thighs, you can always take 2 pillows and stuff them underneath each knee to create some extra lift. And you'll notice that immediately once you start to fold forward with those pillows underneath. Just an option though. As we come into these long held forward folds, there's a lot of work that is being done. Going back to that theme of we don't have to be constantly pushing and driving ourselves towards something in order to get there. We can actually just hold ourselves suspended in rest, in awareness of the breath, and a lot is happening, a lot is moving. Specifically with this pose, we are working with the urinary and kidney meridians, or urinary and bladder meridians, which run all the way up alongside the spine. And every time you forward fold, you're tugging on that posterior chain that reaches down, even all the way to each heel. Specifically right now, we're also coming into that side of the leg, the IT band a bit, and unwinding in the pelvis and the inner groin, which you might likely feel some sensation there. I always imagine that while I'm here in these long holds, I imagine my cells moving and clearing out toxic space, old cells, diseased cells. I imagine the breath like wind coming in. All those places that I feel sensation, the breath like wind coming in to purify. Go ahead and deepen your breath for just about 3 more rounds. Really feeling the fullness of the inhalation, maybe taking an extra sip of air at the top of the breath, and then holding for a moment and letting it go, noticing the space between each breath. And when you're ready, slowly begin to press yourself away from the ground, moving through water, each body part. And pause here at the top with a tall spine. Notice any tingling moving through the body. Notice what's happening in the mind. deep into stillness. And then we'll go ahead and transition ourselves over to the next pose. So what you're going to do here is, this is rather simple, just depends on what variation you would like to be in, so pardon me while I examine and give you all of the variations if you've already chosen one for saddle pose here. So for saddle pose, what we're going to do is you're going to take your glutes and sit them in between your heels. Now only a small amount of people have the bone structure capability to do this. And if you don't, that's totally okay. You don't have to sit your glutes all the way in between the heels. Just go ahead and grab a pillow and stuff it in between the legs so that your glutes can sit back and be a little bit more lifted. So if you've got that already set up, you can then begin to walk the hands back, increasing the sensation on the quadriceps. Also an option is, if that still really doesn't work for you, take your left leg out long. And then you'll just take your right leg in that same position, but half, so it won't be as intense. And then you can take the hands back if you'd like, and I'll give a cue halfway through so that you can switch over to the other side. So wherever you are, whether you've chosen half saddle or full saddle, make sure you're in a place where you can be comfortable for about the next 2 minutes or so, 2 to 3 minutes. Find your breath. Find a place where that sensation starts to creep in the top of your legs, or maybe just the top of the right leg if you're in half saddle. We've moved fully over to stretching the other half of the body, the front half, coming into back body with all of those juicy forward folds. And now we're stretching even into maybe the psoas muscle, which connects the lower and upper half of the body. The hip flexor all the way into the quadricep. All of it's connected. There is not one isolated part of the body. It all feeds into the next portion. So as we remain here for just a few more rounds of deep and conscious breath, notice all of the changes coming in for you. Notice any intrusive thoughts and just press them away. If you're in half saddle, go ahead and slowly transition yourself on over to the other side, moving through water, moving slowly, there is no rush. Taking left leg back behind you, laying that top of the foot flat so that the knee can point down at the bottom of the mat, and then stretching back if that works for you. And find just a couple rounds of breath here. See if you can take the next few rounds of breath with a total blank slate of the mind, prepared for deep rest, prepared for balance of mind and subconscious mind as we are about to enter the sleepy dream world. Deepen your breath for 2 more rounds. Find that blank slate of the mind, closing the eyes even here, shutting out the rest of the world. And then when you're ready, slowly begin to come out of it. If you've leaned back, just go ahead and come to a straight spine, and then send both legs out long for Dandasana staff pose. Then you're going to go ahead and take your fingertips pointing towards the glutes out behind you. Slide the soles of the feet onto the mat, and then pick up your glutes, your hips off the mat, and send them forward towards the heels just a bit. Bend the elbows slightly towards the back of the mat, and notice the gentle squeeze coming into the shoulder blades and even into the deltoid, the top of the shoulder here. Tuck the chin into the chest. Find 3 rounds of breath. Maybe deepening the stretch by bending elbows a little bit more, but being mindful. Even a small movement is going to create a lot here. A lot for the neck, shoulders, the upper body. And when you're ready, slowly press yourself back up. Go ahead and find a wide-legged seated position, taking your legs out, maybe not quite as wide as you typically would. And if you're already feeling like super tender knees, like there's some kneecap pain or sensitivity, or maybe even the back of the leg and the hamstrings, it's too much, take a blanket or your pillows and just stuff underneath that back of the knee crease, just to get a little micro bend and a little bit more lift. Allow the feet to be relaxed here. We're not in a vinyasa class where we're just active toes pointing toward the ceiling. You don't need to do that. Just let your bones fall where they fall, which is totally unique to you. There is no pose that will ever look the same as another person. So take your fingertips out in front of you. Begin to walk them out slowly, hinging from the hip flexors and gently feeling the tailbone press behind you. Maybe this is as far as you go. Maybe you're already feeling a lot of sensation in the inner thighs and the groin. If not, you can go ahead and lower on down to forearms. Maybe you're super flexible and you even take your arms out even longer and lower the belly all the way down to the floor. I'm not going to do that because that is not comfortable for me. So just find what is comfortable for you. Going as deep into the fold or as not deep as you would like. And come back to the breath. Find that first breath of arrival here. Notice the inhale, the expansion that occurs. And on the exhale, allow every other part of your body to relax. Let the head relax. Chin could tuck maybe in towards the chest. If that's comfortable for the neck, it will increase the stretch. Relax the feet. Deepen your breath for 3 rounds here, making them as long and as slow as you possibly can. The longest breath of our practice yet. Any events from the day that are coming in, or reminders of responsibilities for tomorrow or the rest of the week and the weekend, just let all of that go with your next breath out. Know that there is nothing else that requires your attention right now, other than the breath and focusing on clearing the mind of thoughts that, like I said before, don't even need to be attended to. A lot of thoughts that we think thousands upon thousands of thoughts every single day. If we were to delve into every single one of them, we would go crazy. So sometimes you have to have boundaries with yourself and your own thoughts. Find just one more breath here. If you're feeling any tingling or any other intense sensations, try to breathe with them as long as you're not feeling burning or any pain. You can breathe through it and know that that is just the muscles and the ligaments. That sensation that's coming up is the water molecule of hyaluronan coming into the body, or well, it's already in the body, but coming to that place that you are activating to lubricate so that there is more slide and glide of joints and muscles and fascia. And slowly bring your hands, palms all the way down to the floor, begin to rise all the way up. Pause for a moment just with the breath and notice if anything is leaving the body, if any sensations are moving through. Notice how the nervous system begins to descend and calm down as we engage in these long held forward folds. And as you become ready, slowly go ahead and begin to move back down towards a reclined position. Move in through water, no rush to get anywhere. Maybe hugging knees to chest for one final Apanasana before we come into a few final resting positions prior to Shavasana. Maybe you take the legs out totally straight and stretch the toes back towards the face, peeling heels towards the ceiling. Wherever you are, remaining mindful of the breath and exploring just a couple of motions here on your own. And we'll go ahead and come into Happy Baby to finish off our hip opening here. So go ahead and reach for something on your body, on your legs or your feet with both hands. You can either go ahead and grab the calf, you can grab, I wouldn't recommend grabbing the thighs because you can't really get enough pressure, but go ahead and grab the calf, or maybe you can reach at the inner part of the arch of the foot with your hands and let them rest down on the soles of the feet. Gently opening the hips, shining, maybe even perineum all the way up to the sky. Allowing knees to come along the side body. And like I said, if that's really uncomfortable, it's not working for you to hold the soles of the feet, bring your hands to the outer edge of the calf and allow that to weigh down. No forcing anything here. Find a few deep, long, slow rounds of breath. As you find your next exhalation, you can slowly bring the soles of the feet back down to the earth. Go ahead and rest your hands interlaced on the belly if that's comfortable for you, or you can come back to that open T position. Begin to windshield wiper the legs back and forth, dropping them off over to the right and then dropping them off to the left. Inhale, come back through center, drop them off to the right. And exhale over to the left. Inhale, drop them to the right. Exhale, drop them to the left. Inhale, drop them off to the right. And exhale, come back up through to center. And if you haven't already, find that T positioning with the arms here. Deep breath in. And as you exhale, hug the knees into the chest and drop both knees off to the right. Coming into your reclined twist. Now you can continue to stay here. Also, if you're feeling any pinching or uncomfortable pain in the groin area, come out for a minute and just take a pillow, slide it either between your legs at the inner part of the knee, or maybe you just need a little bit of extra height underneath your right knee. So you can take a pillow underneath there as well. Find a few rounds of breath. Maybe you even take your gaze over to the left side to get into that right side of the neck as well. Preparing the mind and the body for deep rest. Taking the twist to rinse out anything that is no longer serving you, anything that happened from the day. Imagine it just leaving with the exhalation, totally letting go of it and the attachments that that thought creates. And on your next inhale, go ahead and turn the head back towards the midline of the body if you dropped it over to the left. Slowly lift left leg first using the core, then take the right leg back in towards center and hug both knees into the chest. Deep breath in. And as you exhale, take it on over to the left side, just dropping knees off to the left, opening arms up into that T position and finding the variation that you were in before. If you use that pillow, go ahead and take it between the legs or maybe underneath the left leg, depending on what works best for you. Just try it all out. That's what I always do in yoga class. I just will take any position that the teacher offers, and then I'll just go ahead and go for each one and then find the one that works best for me that specific day. There's going to be different things that your body feels even day to day. Maybe you really liked from before taking your gaze over and complementing the rest of the spinal twist, taking your head over to the right. Find just a couple rounds of breath here. Once again, imagining everything squeezing out of the body that you no longer wish to keep. And this is your practice, your mind, your body. As we begin to cultivate this sense of gentle approach towards ourselves, we begin to think that way just daily. There is no need to direct negative thoughts towards ourselves. All they do is harm. We are all doing the best that we can, and that is enough. On your next inhale, take your head up back to center. Bring the right leg up, find the core, activate the abdominal wall to take left leg back up as well, and then hug both knees into the chest. Last time. And then send the legs out long, finding your Shavasana, setting yourself up however you might like. If you're at home, probably most of you are at home, you can go ahead and grab a blanket or a pillow for your head and wrap yourself up nice and cozy. Take gentle care of yourself the way that you would take care of a loved one. And as you're getting comfortable in Shavasana, corpse pose, allow your arms to rest comfortably at the side body, palms facing up to the sky. Allow the feet to just flop open to the outer edge of the mat. And if you have low back sensitivity, you can always keep knees bent here. Find a little tuck of the shoulder blades underneath the upper back to lift the chest towards the sky and so that the blades lay flat. Rock your head from side to side, once again as if you're moving through water, massaging the back of your head. And then find a deep breath in, the longest that you have yet today, slowly taking in air. And as you exhale, feel everything release down to the ground. Relax any tension away from the shoulders. And take your awareness down to each toe. Notice the space that rests around each toe, the air, or maybe part of your clothing touching the foot, maybe a blanket. Notice the space around your foot and ankle. The weight of the air sitting on top of your body as you continue to scan up through the calves, the knees, through the thighs, the pelvis, the torso, the chest, the shoulders, the upper arm, elbow, forearm, and then the space around each fingertip. And another deep breath in. Keep that connection to that slow, long breath until you find it becomes natural and you return to a natural pace. Allow the breath to travel all the way up to the crown of the head and then back down. Deep breath in. And exhale, let it go. Inhale and out. On your next inhale, imagine the breath like a pure white rope, white light coming into each sole of your foot, up from the earth. And as you inhale, that bright light travels all the way through the legs, up to the crown of the head. And then as you exhale, release the breath through the crown of the head, as if a little hatch right at the top of your head opens up to release the breath. Now imagine another cord of bright white light coming down from the sky, reaching into that hatch at the crown of the head. And as you inhale next, the breath coming in through that hatch from that bright white light. And it travels through the body. And then as you exhale, exhale out of the soles of your feet. Inhale from the soles of the feet. Imagine the breath coming up through the body, and exhale out of the crown of the head. Inhale through the crown. Exhale through the feet. Inhale through the feet. Exhale, crown. And then you're welcome to continue with this breath pattern. Return to a natural pace of breath. Or just remaining here in Shavasana as we close our practice together. Maybe you're ready to reawaken and you begin to invite some movement in the fingers and the toes. But if you're not quite ready, just go ahead and stay down on the earth. Let this Shavasana extend even beyond this video. Give yourself what you need. And then if you're pushing yourself up towards that comfortable seat, moving slowly through water, keeping eyes closed to maintain that sacred container of energy. And then wherever you are, find a deep breath in through the nose. Let it go, big sigh. Draw the hands together at heart center, thumbs come in between the collarbone where the heart chakra lies. Bow the head and thank yourself in deep reverence for being here for your practice, for giving yourself the time to set up a juicy night of sleep. And I thank you for giving yourself this care as well with deep gratitude. The light in me sees and honors the light in all of you. Namaste.